One of the seasoned detectives that got there, he said to me, I have never seen a more gruesome scene in all my years. It was that bad.
Chimpanzees are some of the strongest and most surprisingly dangerous animals on Earth. Despite this, they have been used throughout Western culture as entertainment and to some as pets. Experts like Joe Rogan have tried their best to inform the public.
They don't understand the consequences of biting someone's finger off. They just decide, I'm gonna bite your fucking finger off. Whatever! Give me that finger!
Yeah. Nonetheless, there are still an estimated 700 chimpanzees kept as pets in American homes today. One such chimp was Travis. Travis lived a similar life to many chimpanzees in captivity. He played with children, appeared in TV shows, and starred in commercials. However, all that changed on February 16th, 2009.
Stamford 911, where's your emergency?
Oh, this is Sandy. What, Primate Rose?
What's the
Send
problem?
the police. Send the police.
What's the problem there?
The chimp killed my friend.
So we came here under the premise of a lady owns this chimpanzee sanctuary here that is home to like pretty much any chimpanzee you've seen in like pop culture was most likely from this place. So we came down here looking to tell the original story where Travis was born. We didn't think we'd be able to interview her because the place is really tightly guarded. Turns out it sounds like we're going to get here, which I wasn't prepared for, but I guess I should have been. But yeah, Connor, Travis, Lisa Marie, they were all born here.
Everyone involved with Travis is pretty much dead, by the way. His brother's dead.
You think so?
No, his brothers are dead.
We're just trying to tell the story of Travis. That's it.
Yeah, we're not here to make fun. We're not here to do anything bad. It's just we want to tell the full story of Travis. And I feel like it's our civic duty to.
So we headed on a 40-minute ride to the sanctuary. But first, we had a phone call to make.
Yeah, my name's Eddie. I had someone come over there. She said she'd do an interview with us. Oh, that was the chimps yelling? You know, like I said, whenever you're free this afternoon, we'll come right over. We're about 30 minutes out.
Okay, that'll be fine.
Awesome. Tanya, thank you so much. I'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye. Dude,
Were they screaming?
you should have heard this fucking thing. It sounded like something was crashing down, dude.
The chimpanzees were yelling?
She's like, as you can hear, I'm down here right now. I'm like, oh, that was the chimp? She's like, yeah, that was, I don't know, Seymour. I forget one of the males. I'm mad that it wasn't on speakerphone. It was like, shit was happening. The boys were buzzing.
The facility we were headed to is called the Missouri Primate Foundation. Licensed since at least 1994, the company has provided chimpanzees for movies including Speed Racer, George of the Jungle, and several others. However, over that time period, the U.S. Department of Agriculture has cited them for at least a dozen violations, often due to cleanliness. Chimpanzees also escaped 3 times over the years, including a 2001 encounter which involved neighbor Jason Coates.
It was like a horror movie. I jumped up on the hood, slapped it a couple times, jumped off. So then I'm thinking they're gonna kill my dog. And I shot 3 times.
Jason was charged with a felony and served 30 days in jail, missing the birth of his firstborn son.
I pulled in my driveway and was attacked by 3 of them, and I had to shoot it. That wasn't a decision I made for myself. That was a position that I was forced into.
And he wasn't the only neighbor that had issues with the chimpanzees.
One neighbor who did not want to go on camera tells us she came home to find a chimp in her living room.
Despite these issues, we still wanted to talk to the foundation to hear their side of the story. But as we got closer to the sanctuary, no one was answering.
Your call has been forwarded to an
Don't leave one yet.
message system.
So we tried to interview some locals to figure out what was going on with the sanctuary.
You happen to know anything about the chimpanzee sanctuary around here? No. No? I can't.
As a matter of fact, lived around here all my life. I've never even heard of it.
You never heard about it?
Nope.
Really?
Do you know much about it?
Not really.
And I don't even know if it's still there. 'Cause
Oh,
I ain't been
really?
down that way in years.
No? No?
I think there's a couple. I think we're digging deep into something that we don't know about.
Even though some of the residents knew about the sanctuary, no one seemed to know a lot of details. Again, we tried to call Tanya.
Your call has been forwarded to an automatic voice message system.
Getting duped.
Despite Tanya agreeing to our interview, she was no longer answering her phone. We had already driven an hour from our hotel, so we went to the sanctuary to figure out what was going on.
We are at Travis's. This is where Travis was born, and this is creepy as fuck. Are we gonna wait to get shot, or do you want to walk up? And
You're getting shot?
I feel like I'm about to get shot. You
I don't
feel
like
like
this.
it?
I do. I don't like this.
Hello?
Anyone home?
We looked around outside of the sanctuary, but no one was home, empty-handed. We had to find a new way to look into Travis's story.
Sandra and Jerome Harold, owners of a Stamford, Connecticut towing company, adopted Travis from the sanctuary in 1995. Growing up, Travis was well known throughout the town, taking pictures with customers at the tow truck company, and Sandra herself told interviewers about some of his interesting antics.
He liked taking rides in cars, I read.
Yeah, he did.
He was able to open doors by himself?
He could drive. He took off with the car a couple times.
Onto the regular streets?
Yeah. Down,
that seems a little
down
dangerous.
our shop. Well,
According to Sandra, he also dressed himself, used a computer, and memorized the local ice cream truck schedule. But the events of February 16, 2009 was not his first run-in with the police.
In 2003, the chimp escaped from his owner's car and ran through the streets. What's unclear is why his owner was allowed to keep the animal in her home.
Harold's only child died in a car crash in 2000, and her husband Jerome passed away in 2004. As a result, it left her with only Travis, whom she viewed as a surrogate son.
He was my life. I raised him since he was 3.5 weeks old.
And Travis was involved in every part of Sandra's life.
I cooked for him, I shopped for him, I lived with him, I slept with him.
A year after Jerome's death, Stamford 911 received a chilling phone call. Officer Frank Chiafari responded to the dispatcher that day, and what happened next would change his life forever. After only doing one interview over a decade ago and turning down Netflix to do a documentary, Officer Chiafari sat down with us for, in his words, his final interview on the subject.
Hi, my name is Frank Chiafari. I've been in the Stamford Police for 31 years. And on that particular day, it was the 3 to 11 shift. And I started my day like I usually do. I went into Starbucks. I still remember, I had my espresso, thinking this is a nice relaxed day. What could go wrong? And the radio comes over, there's a monkey attacking a woman. And they go, get there, code 3 means this is serious. So I'm driving up there, and as I'm driving, it's sounding worse and worse. Get there, this is not good.
Code 3 is the most serious?
Yes,
or?
yes,
Okay.
Code 3 is get there. Go through lights, get there fast. So I get in the driveway, I'm pulling in, I find the house, and I see the chimp running around, and the owner of the chimp screaming at the top of her lungs. My friend's on the floor, he ripped her apart. And I saw it, and I looked, and without getting into the gory details, it was devastating what this chimp did to this woman.
The victim was 55-year-old Charla Nash, a friend of Sandra. Charla had come at Sandra's request to try and help get Travis back into the house. However, upon seeing Charla with one of his favorite toys and a different hairstyle than usual, Travis inexplicably attacked her.
I say to the owner, get in your car. She's trying to stab him in the back to stop him, but this thing is so big and full of adrenaline that nothing's bothering it.
For me to do something like that, put a knife in him, was like putting one in myself. And then he turned around and like, Mom, what did you do?
She gets in the car after me telling her, like screaming at her, I'm in my car, because I gotta be honest, I'm petrified now seeing this thing. I have a fear of, like, this is like a monster. Yeah. You know, when you go to the zoo and you're looking at something in a cage, you go, I would never want to be in there. Well, here I am in the cage with it. Yeah. And now he fixes his eye on me. And he comes over and he's in a really bad mood. And he starts shaking my car. It was like Jurassic Park. I said, oh my God, I didn't know how strong. The car was shaking. Like, now I'm getting into that panic mode. So I take my gun out and I'm saying, I don't want to shoot. By the way, to preface it, I'm like a huge nature lover. I love animals. Like, I don't even kill spiders in my house, they'll tell you. I take them in a cup, I throw them out. I love animals. I don't believe in any kind of killing just to kill for the sake of it. And I said, please don't let me shoot this thing. And he's like shaking the car. He stops. I go, oh God, and I put the gun back in. I'm trying to get my breath. He comes around to my driver's door. He's looking at me like, I'm going, oh God. I'm getting that weird feeling again. Pulls the door open. Now we're literally 2 feet apart. I'm sitting like this and he's standing right here.
Face to face with Travis, Officer Chiafari was in extreme danger. Chimpanzees are an estimated 4 times stronger than humans with twice as many fast-twitch muscle fibers. On top of that, Sandra had given the chimp Xanax along with its Lyme disease medication, one of which may have led to the chimp's terrifying behavior.
I'm not ashamed to admit I froze first. I literally froze. And I will say this, I have deep respect for that chimp, and I don't know, I'll get into that after, where he could have got me. If he really wanted me, I wouldn't be here right now. When he opened that door, he could have just jumped in and got me, because I froze. And my gun was still in the holster at that point. I didn't know he was going to open the door. And then I came out of it, and our eyes met. We were just looking at each other. And this is the part that could get a little otherworldly or whatever, but I tell people, I said, I'm not ashamed to admit it, whatever your beliefs are. We looked at each other, and he gave me a look, and I didn't hear anything, but I felt from him, please do this. Like, I've had enough. Please do what you gotta do. And I went, and then he raised his arms, and he gave me a snarl. I still remember these giant teeth, like blood all over his face. But he raised it, and then he gave me that little space, that window, to do what I had to do. And he started lunging at me, and I took the gun. I still don't know how I did it. I'm not Dirty Harry. I took the gun out, and ironically, we just got new holsters that week that made it easier to take out. And I took it out, and they say I shot 4 shots at him. It must have been close. Now, here's the thing, my mind erased that part. I don't remember it. If you take a gun and shot it in this room right now, it would be deafening. Your ears would be ringing. I was this close in a car. I don't recall the sound. Like, I've erased it, the whole thing. And I don't remember any of that. It's that part of my life got erased. I really don't. Maybe it's protecting me or whatever. And I remember he went back, and I do remember he went back and he looked at me, gave me one more growl, and he ran into the house. And it shows you how powerful, those were 45 slugs. And this poor thing took 4 of them and still had the strength to run back in.
After being shot 4 times, Travis retreated back into the house. Unbeknownst to Officer Chiafari, the chimp had passed away quietly in its room.
All I remember is just being broken, shocked, what the heck happened here? This isn't the guy that was in the other car, I didn't realize the shots were going through the chimp and going to him. Just missing him, they were going on the ground, the angle. So he's turning white. It was just a terrible scenario for everybody.
Did you guys know of Travis and people in Stamford and before all that? That's the house with the right?
And the irony, it makes me sad because I used to play with Travis when he was a baby. Who would have known? He was the cutest little thing. And you're thinking, fate, who would have ever thought 10 years later or whatever it was.
How would you best describe that emotion in his eyes when you saw him?
Pure terror. It was terror for me.
It was terror
for me.
But what was he?
Oh, rage.
Rage?
He was angry.
And then Travis's owner, Sandy, did you ever have an interaction with her?
Never again. She passed, I think about a year later, I'm not sure, a year or 2. And I always said it was a kind of a blessing in a way. She was getting sued. People were giving her hate mail, she was vilified for the whole thing. And it was almost like her way of getting me out of here too. It was it's terrible.
Yeah, and I was sleeping in her bed every day. So.
No, you heard that.
Yeah.
She used to tell, one time I met her, ironically, a week before this, and the victim, they were together. I forgot an ice cream place, and I went again. They both were there talking to me.
That's crazy. You just had all these encounters with them as well.
Yeah.
And this has been reported back and forth. I don't know if you ever heard it. There was things talks about sexual relations with it.
It's funny. I was thinking that, and I go, I probably no one ever heard that. I did hear it. I can't swear to, but I did hear that. But she made a joke to me, right that day. She goes, "Oh, he's in my bed with me," and I laughed it off. Oh, what the heck? Or I took a bath with him or something. I was like, some weird thing. I was like, it's more than I want to know here, you know, but it could have been just her. But I have heard that. I have heard that.
Yeah. And when he ran back in the house, did you just think he was still alive? Did you?
I didn't, you know what? I didn't know. I was like, I was just, like almost like, I don't want to say in shock, but I was like just drained. I just went back to the car and sat there. And then I don't want to call them the SWAT team, but like the guys with the rifles, the other cops came after, about 2 minutes after. I didn't know he went in the house, by the way, no, because they were looking in the woods for him around the house. He got in. I just saw him run. I never really saw him go in the house. So I told him, my guys, I don't know where he went. And they were nervous. I'm thinking back, any little noise that would go in, they were all scared, because this thing could jump at, you know, but unbeknownst at the time, he went in the house and he died in his room. He went into his corner.
And obviously, Travis, though, that's not the hardest part to talk about. It's what he gets asked all the time, like what was the condition and stuff, that stuff that you like to stay away from, brother.
It was, all I could say, it was, I didn't know it was a person when I got there. When I first got there, I thought it was like a bunch of clothes or something on the floor, and then I realized, I go, oh, I didn't know if it was male or female. I couldn't tell.
So needless to say, you're shocked that she lived.
Oh yeah. When the paramedic guys took her, I was like, there's no way. There's no way.
Despite extensive injuries, Charla miraculously survived. After countless surgeries and 4 months in a coma, Charla gave her first interview to Oprah 9 months after the attack.
I don't remember anything, and they told the doctor that I don't want to remember because I could imagine what it was like.
She detailed her injuries further in an interview 7 years later after receiving several additional surgeries.
They told me that he had ripped off my face and my hands looked like they went through a shredder. I'm amazed that, when I hear that I am alive.
And Charla is still alive today, over a decade after the tragic attack took place.
And then at what point did you realize the scope of the whole thing? She's on Oprah, and you're the guy who killed the chimp, who killed Travis.
I went to they sent me to the hospital that day to keep me calm. They sent me home. They said, just get out of here. I went home, but I remember helicopters flying over while I was in the hospital. Everything. The news here was like instant, and everybody was diverging on the whole thing. And then I knew it the next day. It was all over. My phone wouldn't stop from friends, and they didn't have my name. No one knew who they kept me secret, like they didn't want to bring my name and to have people bother me. And even when I came back, I gotta tell you, I was in bad shape for about a year. I never knew, like, post-traumatic stress. I didn't even know what that was. I've never questioned it. I've always felt like, not why me did this happen. I've always said, like, why me? Why did that happen to me? I used it in a spiritual way, not as an ego way. Like, all right, for some reason, I was sent there.
Did you have an interaction with the woman who was mauled, Charla, afterwards?
I know, it came back to me things from her daughter, like they were grateful, like that I saved her, and I never thought of I never thought of myself as, a hero or anything. I am not. I just said, I did what I had to do. I'm glad that she was saved. I'm glad. I mean, a lot of things came out of it. I was talking to you on the phone with the United States Army. They were studying her reconstruction, and some things came out of it for soldiers that had an injury to the face.
So
and trying to, yeah.
Because it was a full face transplant, right? There
was nothing left.
There was nothing left. Yeah.
Nothing left.
Yeah, because there was that came out of it, and then obviously you said you've done work with PTSD. Is that right?
In the department, guys, it always had, in the nature of the work, there's always some terrible, horrendous call. Yeah. And when especially a lot of the young cops went on a bad call not too long ago, and I knew they were going through something, so I put it out there. I said, look, guys, anytime you want to talk to me, I'm here. And they did. A lot of them used to come to me. Frank, can we go outside? Can we go to the locker room? I'm crying all the time. And I go, I understand. And I would talk to them, tell them what to do, how to get through it. That was my thing. I mean, anybody, and even even not cops, regular people that would come to me, I would always want to help people because I know how it felt, how I got through it, what I did.
In the 12 years following the attack, the memory of Travis seems to have faded in Connecticut. The house he grew up in is still there, but it's with a different set of owners. We went to see it on the day of our interview.
Oh yeah, no, this is not good.
This is it.
I don't like this. Oh my god. Alright, Dana, get something fast and turn around. This gives me the jeepies. Creepies.
Yeah.
It's crazy to see the house where Travis it all went down. Lived and died.
In addition to the house, the tow truck company where Travis played is now gone.
Yeah, but no, this used to be a tow truck company. Desire Me Motor.
Well, they're out of business. They were right there.
Are they?
They've been going for
15?
Yeah,
the green?
50, yeah, they've been going for fucking 5-6 years.
Even years after Travis's death, there are still strange incidents related to him that periodically come up. The most disturbing involved a call into a random radio station allegedly from the Sandy Hook shooter months prior to the shooting. The troubling call was confirmed by 2 of his classmates to match his voice.
Travis wasn't an untamed monster at all. If Travis had been some nasty monster all his life, it would have been widely reported, but to the contrary, it seems like everyone who knew him said how shocked they were that Travis had been so savage, because they knew him as a sweet child. And his attack wasn't simply because he was a senselessly violent, impulsive chimp, which was how his behavior was universally portrayed. Some little thing he experienced was the last straw, and he was overwhelmed. And dismissing his attack as simply being the senseless, violent impulsiveness of a chimp instead of a human is wishful thinking at best. Don't think it would be such a stretch to say that he very well could have been a teenage mall shooter or something like that.
A couple months after our time in Stamford, Connecticut, Tanya from the Festus Chimpanzee Sanctuary finally agreed to do an interview.
So what do you think about the story about Travis? Like, is that something where how he was raised that happened?
You know that Travis was one of Connie's babies. I mean, everybody knows that. And do I think what happened is Travis lost his father, who was the alpha in that home setting, and Sandy was a softie. And I think Sandy was, he was getting sexually mature. He was reaching sexual maturity, and I think she needed to move a little faster on getting him into a safe environment as far as, caging. Do I think that she did anything wrong? No, I don't think Sandy did. I think she loved Travis probably to death, to be honest with you.
And was that something where, when you say he was grieving the loss of his father, do you mean Sandy's husband, so the human?
Yeah. Yes, and that is his father, because and when you raise a chimpanzee or a primate of any sort, you are part of their troop. They have troops, they have hierarchies. You are their alpha. So kind of Travis was kind of caught. He was still wanting to be that boy chimpanzee, but then again, he had to be the man because there was no other man to be there. And I always tell everybody, owning a primate is a huge responsibility. It's a lifetime commitment. It's not for everybody. Now, is there some bad apples out of that bunch? Always, but that's with anything that you own. That's if you own dogs or if you own cats or if you own anything. You're always going to have some of those that don't handle things appropriately, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't own them in general. That shouldn't be like a no. It should just be that it should be a case-by-case basis, and there should be governing regulations with owning such things, and you should meet certain standards. But other than that, I don't see anything wrong with it at all.
After what you've been through with this, your friend is in the hospital fighting for her life. Do you still think chimps should be pets?
Would I have done it again? Yes. It was horrific what happened, and I had to do what I had to do. But I'll miss him for the rest of my life.
I look at him as the victim here too. I have people ask me over the years, do you dislike him? I go, no, I have respect for Travis. I do, and he was a victim. No animal that came from the jungle should ever be kept in a house, drinking wine, taking Xanax, which he did, and eating cake, and she treated it like it was a person. And animals have their dignity, and they should be left in the jungle. And most of all, I feel after this, life is very precious. It really is, in the end. Right? The pettiness has got to disappear and concentrate on having a good time in life a little, enjoy it a little.